Imagine stepping into maybe a command center
Yeah.
or like a really high-tech sports bar, maybe even an advanced home theater setup. In these places, you often see this with this huge array of video sources, computers, streamers, cameras, and then you've got all these screens, right? And they need to show stuff perfectly, sometimes separately, sometimes stitched together into one massive picture, making all that work smoothly, without any flicker or delay. It sounds incredibly complicated, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's the kind of thing that, well, traditionally needed some serious expertise and often a lot of custom work. Getting that kind of fluid, high-res visual setup, that's always been a pretty big challenge.
Exactly. But what if just one device could actually make this whole thing simpler? Today, we're taking a deep dive into the WolfPack 4K 30Hz 8x8 Seamless HDMI Matrix. It also has a timer, video wall splicing, and splitter modes. Quite a mouthful. Our mission here is to kind of cut through the tech jargon and really understand what this thing does and maybe why it's such a big deal for complex AV systems. And for you listening, this isn't just about one product. It's more a chance to grasp these core ideas of advanced video management, those aha moments where complex stuff starts to feel intuitive, how tech can simplify tricky tasks. We'll be looking at seamless switching, video walls, automated control. Should be interesting. Okay, so let's start right at the core. Its main job. It's an 8-input, 8-output HDMI Matrix Switch. What does that basic function mean for someone setting up a system?
Well, fundamentally, it means you get incredible routing flexibility. You can connect up to 8 different HDMI sources, like media players, PCs, cameras, whatever. And then you can send any one of those sources to any of your 8 connected displays. And crucially, you can do it independently. So it's not just simple one-to-one. It's about dynamic, really customizable ways to get your content where you want it. And what's really compelling here is that it handles 4K resolution. That's 3840 by 2160 at 30 hertz for both inputs and outputs. That ensures really sharp visuals, but it's also, importantly, backward compatible. So older, lower res stuff works fine too.
Okay, and the name specifically calls out seamless switching. Why is that feature so important, especially in, say, professional setups or high-end home theaters? What's the real impact?
Ah, the seamless part. Yeah, that's absolutely critical. And the impact is, well, it's huge. It means when you switch between your video sources or change which output they're going to, you don't get those annoying black screens, no glitches, no audio dropouts for a second. The change is instant, it's smooth, and it keeps the audio and video perfectly synced. Now, this isn't just, a nice to have. In really critical places, think live broadcasts, control rooms, maybe big presentations, even a split second of black screen can mean missing vital info, or it could just break the immersion for the audience, or frankly, make the whole thing look unprofessional. It's all about keeping that continuous, polished visual experience.
Right, maintaining flow.
Yeah.
Okay, so beyond just switching, the source material calls this a multi-mode marvel. It mentions a one-to-many HDMI splitter mode, a many-to-one HDMI switcher mode, and the many-to-many HDMI matrix mode. Can you kind of break down what each of these lets you do in practice?
Sure, absolutely. Think of them as different ways to organize your video flow. So splitter mode, that's one-to-many. You take one source and you show it on multiple screens at the same time. Imagine a big company announcement going to every monitor in the building, or maybe the same ad running on screens in a shop. That's splitter mode.
Okay, one source, multiple displays. Got it.
Then you have switcher mode, that's many to one. So here you might have, say, 8 different sources plugged in, but you're choosing just one of them to show on a single screen. It's like a really advanced input selector. Perfect for maybe an auditorium stage where you need to switch between a laptop, a Blu-ray player, maybe a camera feed, all going to one main projector.
Makes sense. Consolidating inputs.
Exactly. And then the third one, matrix mode, or many-to-many. This is really the most flexible mode, the core function. Here, any of the 8 inputs can go to any of the 8 outputs independently, all at the same time. This is where you get into those really complex setups. Maybe you want live sports on screen 1, a news channel on screen 2, a stock ticker on screen 3, all pulled from different sources, all running simultaneously.
Wow. Okay, so that really gives you an incredible amount of control over routing. Huge adaptability for system designers, or even just the end user.
Precisely. Yeah, you can duplicate content easily, consolidate sources onto one display, or manage these really customized multi-screen setups with really fine-grained control over every single feed. It makes things that used to need incredibly complex wiring and control systems much, much simpler.
Okay, building on that flexibility, let's talk video walls. That's often the dream for large-scale visuals, right? How does this WolfPack Matrix handle that? The description mentions video wall splicing and splitter modes. What does that mean?
Yes, video walls. This is where the device gets really interesting for making a big visual impact. It offers amazing versatility here. You can, as the description says, splice together to show a whole video. So you take multiple physical screens, maybe a 2x2 or 3x3 grid, and make them act like one giant seamless display. Perfect for really immersive digital signs or maybe those big overview displays in control
A
rooms.
one giant picture across multiple screens.
Exactly. But what's cool is you're not just limited to that one giant image. You can also choose to show a different video on each individual screen within that wall structure. So you could have diverse content playing across the different panels. And even more, you can mix and match. For example, maybe the left side is spliced together showing one large image, while the right side can show a different video on each screen individually. The software that comes with it gives you that precise control how many windows or sections you create and which video feed goes where on your wall.
That's incredibly flexible. Now, what about the resolution? You mentioned 4K earlier. Does building a video wall compromise that? Does it scale it down?
That's a really important question, especially for quality. And a key detail from the source material is no, it doesn't necessarily scale down. If your input source is sending 4K at 30 hertz, the video wall created by this matrix will actually maintain that 4K 30 hertz resolution across the combined display. It avoids dropping down to, say, 1080p, which is absolutely crucial for keeping things sharp and clear on those big video walls. Clarity really matters at that scale.
That is crucial. Retaining 4K on a large splice display is a big deal. It sort of democratizes high-res video walls, doesn't it?
It really does. Makes it much more accessible.
Okay, moving beyond just routing and display modes, this isn't just manual control, right? The WolfPack has some serious automation and control features. Let's talk about the rotating timer control first. What does that enable?
Right, the automation side. This timer control is actually a pretty powerful feature for managing content dynamically without someone having to constantly push buttons. It has this integrated task scheduling function. It lets you set up and automate up to 10 different preset configurations, and each preset can be programmed to switch on at specific intervals. These intervals are really flexible. They can be as short as 1 minute, which is great for, say, rapidly changing ads in a store, all the way up to 4,440 minutes, which is, well, 24 hours. So you could schedule content changes over an entire day.
So it completely changes how you manage complex displays. You can
Yeah.
set it and forget it almost.
Pretty much. It allows for these dynamic shifts in content throughout the day or week automatically.
Yeah.
Your system can adapt its display strategy based on time, audience, whatever, without needing constant hands-on management.
That's fantastic for dynamic environments. Now, beyond the timer, what other ways can a user actually control this matrix?
There's quite a range of options, actually. You've got a WEBUI, a graphical user interface. You just access it through a normal web browser, which allows for remote setup and control. Very handy. For more professional integration, there's RS-232 serial control. That's kind of the industry standard for connecting to external control systems like Crestron or AMX. And it even has a loop-out function, so you can daisy chain control for multiple units.
Okay, web and serial. What else?
You also have LAN control, so you can manage it over your network, either through a direct Ethernet connection or just by typing its IP address into a browser on the network. And then, of course, for quick access right at the rack, you have physical controls on the front panel. There are dedicated buttons for each input and output. Plus, there's a unique knob control for digging into settings, these nice crystal front panel keys, and a full-color LCD screen to see what's going on. Lots of ways to interact.
Seems very comprehensive. And what about those quick action features mentioned? One key to black screen and the lock and unlock function. What are they for?
Yeah, those are useful practical touches. The one key black screen does exactly what it sounds like. Press it, and all the outputs go black instantly. Super useful if you need to quickly hide the image, maybe during a presentation to redirect focus, or for privacy in a security context.
A panic button for video almost.
Kind of, yeah. And the lock and unlock function is basically a security feature. It prevents anyone from accidentally messing with the settings or changing the presets. You just press and hold the return key for a couple of seconds to lock or unlock it. It just ensures the system stays configured the way you intended.
Smart. I also saw mentions of presets and test functions. How do those help the user?
Right. The presets are really powerful. You can save up to 10 complete user configurations, everything, all the routing, video wall setups, you name it. Then you can recall any of those presets instantly with just one command. Imagine switching an entire complex video wall layout on the fly. Saves a huge amount of time compared to setting it up manually each time.
Definitely speeds things up. And the test functions.
Those are for setup and troubleshooting. There are 11 built-in calibration test patterns. You access them using that front panel knob control. They let you quickly check if all your connected displays are working correctly, showing the right colors, alignment, that sort of thing. Helps speed up installation and diagnostics if something seems off.
Let's touch briefly on the tech specs. What do they tell us about how this device fits into a professional environment? Power, temperature, size.
Sure. It runs on standard AC power, 100 to 240 volts, so it works pretty much anywhere globally. It's built to be reliable, with a working temperature range from 0 Celsius up to about 60 Celsius or 140 Fahrenheit. Pretty robust. Physically, it weighs about 11 pounds or 5 kilos, and the dimensions are roughly 19 inches wide standard rack with about 14.75 inches deep and 3 inches high. So yeah, it's designed specifically to fit neatly into standard AV racks, making installation clean and straightforward in professional setups. It uses the HDMI 1.4 standard, which is solid, and as mentioned, it's backward compatible with older HDMI stuff too.
Fits right in. And importantly, for a piece of gear like this, what about warranty and support? What assurance does a buyer get?
That's always a good question for professional equipment. This one comes with a 3-year warranty and, maybe even more importantly, lifetime telephone tech support. Both of those are provided by the company HDTV Supply. And it's worth noting, they've been around for 24 years, and they are an hdbased.org approved adopter. Now, for you listening, that HD-based adoption signals, they're committed to industry standards for high-def video distribution over networks. It suggests a focus on reliability, compatibility, and quality in these high-performance AV systems.
So, solid backing and adherence to standards. Good to know. All right, so wrapping things up. What we've really looked at today is, well, it's much more than just a simple HDMI switcher, isn't it? This WolfPack 8x8 matrix seems to offer this incredible blend of control, flexibility, and automation for what can be really complex video setups. You know, from the seamless switching, getting rid of those black screens, to the really advanced video wall stuff, and then adding that timed automation. It feels like a very robust solution for managing lots of high-res video.
Absolutely. And for you, our listener, I think this deep dive really highlights how specialized hardware like this can tackle incredibly complex problems with solutions that are actually quite elegant, quite intuitive once you understand them. It's about more than just plugging cables in. It's about sophisticated display management, automated content delivery. It really broadens your view of what's possible with modern AV, whether that's for huge commercial installs, think digital signs in stadiums, monitoring in control rooms, or even creating those really immersive custom home theater experiences.
So considering all that power, the seamless transitions, the detailed video wall control, the scheduled automation, all in one box, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What kind of new, maybe really imaginative uses or installations could this sort of technology unlock? How could it push the boundaries of how we experience and interact with video, both in public spaces and maybe even in our own homes? Something to think about.